Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful, y'all. I'm not going to be on here long. I definitely need to leave out. But willkommen, okay? Willkommen. Wie geht es Ihnen? All right. Hope you all are having a great day. This is the start of the week. Heute ist Montag, everybody. Okay. So we need to start it off properly, start it off correctly. And we're going to start off with some good positive energy. I just want everybody out there to remain steadfast, everybody. Whatever challenges you may be going through, remain steadfast. Keep your faith. Try to stay in good energy as much as possible, even though we know that we have many challenges out here to face. There are people going through things that we can't even imagine that they're going through. The stories that I've heard, y'all, the things that people have shared with me do not go unnoted. And we do need to realize that when we're interacting with one another, that sometimes you don't know what a person's going through in their life. So if you're out and about, interacting with people, just, show them some compassion and consideration. And, that's all we can do right now, because in today's political climate, things are quite ridiculous out here. People are very hypersensitive and things as such. So you just got to be careful, how you disseminate information, because it can be very dangerous to misinform, miseducate, and misrepresent things. Okay. I'm going to come on camera now, y'all. I am drinking my water. Make sure you all stay hydrated. Hydration is so super important, y'all. Hydration is so super important. Hi, RCB. How are you? So today we're going to get into misrepresentations, and I'm going to play y'all a few clips about how this can be very impactful when people don't tell the full truth. Okay. Now, people are going to get triggered, and you know how this goes. People don't like the truth to be told, but we have to talk about it and we have to tell it, right? We got to talk about what's being said out here and how people are being misled. And I think the great thing is that we are actually having a discourse about a lot of things that are impacting this nation. These are conversations that should have been had anyway without people being so hypersensitive. But you got to understand, too, that when a certain group of people have been put through so many barriers, on so many different levels and injustices, even leading to, DEATH. This can be a very touchy subject to talk about. So I think the way that people interact with one another, even labels, crypto, even labels, I think that when people interact with one another, they need to be careful, about the rhetoric or the language that they use, right? Because nobody made themselves, right? We did not pick and choose when we came here. We did not pick and choose our families. We did not pick and choose anything about how we got here, how we look, our body types, our health, our physicalities. Those are things we can't control, right? But these are things that people pay attention to. People are judged on so many different levels. And instead of just being like, children, when people are children, they don't think about all this stuff, y'all. When people are like mixing and mingling, playing at the playground before they even start school, even when they're in kindergarten, daycare, children are not thinking about all these labels about who this person is or this title. And I think even in the workplace, people let their titles go to their head, right? They don't treat other people like people. They treat them as pupils, as students. And we got to understand, I don't care what your title is. You could be the president of a company, you could be the president of the United States, it does not negate the fact that you are still a person like everyone else. And I think that's where people have things misconstrued. No matter what type of house you have, what neighborhood someone lives in, people are different all across the globe, and not everybody's the same. And sometimes people are misrepresented because of stereotypes, is what I'm saying. Now, you will see me posting clips about a lot of things that go on, within the melanated community out of angst, because I feel that a lot of times we can do better, y'all. I feel like a lot of times our people just need to get it together. Okay. And it's one way to convey it in a way of frustration. And it's another way to, display those same antics out of hate or out of like lack of just it's really hard to explain, but sometimes it's not the message, is how you deliver it. And sometimes it can be the messenger. Okay. So we got to think about that stuff too. Let me see what y'all are saying in the comment section. You said modern day slavery, including the trafficking and exploitation of children, continue to be a severe problem. I agree, Ro. Thank you for bringing that up. Because people don't touch on this, and we're so wrapped up like in American culture and American society that we don't think about other countries a lot of times. We're very privileged to live here as a whole, because the poverty that we have here might not be the same as the poverty in like South America, y'all. You should see some of these countries. But you make a very good point here about the problem in some parts of Africa. The practice persists despite being illegal in every African count. Not just Africa, Ro. I remember when I had to write a college paper, and this was years ago, about even in Asia, okay, there are innocent children being used, and they have what's called the boom boom rooms, right? These children, I mean, they're not even 10 years old, and they're being used by these guys and these men that go over to these other countries because they know that they can get away with this type of stuff, y'all. It's very sad. You said this must be about the imaginary man in the sky that is a form of control that's neat into that's beaten to your heads as children. Crypto, I don't believe in the imaginary sky daddy. If you ever followed my channel, then you would know that I actually came out of that a long time ago, and I got into it with my hairstylist because she is Puerto Rican and she used to do my hair, and we got into that conversation. And once I started expressing my views, my ideas, because we would talk about politics, we would talk about religion, we would talk about a number of things, she got the shaking and she got the moving, and she just looked like something came over her, like she was possessed, because I asked her certain questions that she really couldn't answer. She would go to Bible study. They took a trip to Belize, and stuff like that. And I came to the conclusion. It took me a long time to make my decision, because my friend and I, we would talk about these things late at night on the phone, trying to figure it out. And a lot of things, just did not make sense to us. So I drew my own conclusion. So stereotypes started because someone did something. Okay, Jonathan, interesting concept. But yeah, so we got to talk about the fact that there are a lot of misrepresentations going on out here, right? And we also have to talk about, you know, what did he say? There are people out here cooning and buffooning, right? What does he mean by that, cooning and buffooning? So what you're scared to do is you're scared to talk about these topics. You tap dance around it because either you don't have the verbiage to express what you're saying, so you go along to get along, to appease everyone, and that doesn't lead to anything any good, because it leads to a bunch of buildup, hostility, secret angst, secret hostility amongst people, because they are scared to talk about it. What happens when you don't have a dialogue about something? It builds up inside of you. It leads to anxiety. It leads to a lot of negative emotions that can impact your mental, physical, psychological health, y'all. This is where a lot of disease can come from, because you're not expressing, you're not talking, you're not getting relief. And that goes for a lot of people across the globe. You said, and they kept doing it. Shout out to my, okay, and she got brains. Okay. All right. So I've spoken to of course, a lot of different people. And this even includes Caucasians, all right? And there are things that they probably feel or have experienced or witnessed or think, but they feel like they can't speak about it because they don't want to get, classified in a certain category called, the R word. And I can see why. Because melanated people and a lot of not just melanated people, but people as a whole have been, targeted. There are people out here that, come from, thank you, Kenrick Thomas. There are people out here that come from different parts of, the world, and they might have a very strong accent. They might have different cultural practices that we are not aware of, y'all. And we can be so ignorant to the fact that we don't have a conversation with them. We just assume things. And so what I've always done when I encounter someone from a different part of the world, I will ask them, where are you from? I don't feel any harm in that, y'all, because I want to get a better understanding of their cultural practices. And I also pose the question to them. I say, well, how do you feel, about this country? How do you like America? What brought you here? And they'll tell me. And I'll ask them, well, what are your views? What are your, opinions about Americans here, American culture? What do you think about the country? And a lot of them tell me that they like it here. I've heard that a lot. There have been instances where I've heard one lady, she was working at Waffle House, but she was of Hispanic descent. She said she didn't like it here. She was going back to her country. This was many years ago, y'all. But for the most part, I hear a lot of people say they come here for better opportunity. This is all the way from Africa to I think even like the Indian people, because their country seems to be kind of impoverished as well. So a lot of people come here for a better opportunity. But when it comes to better opportunity, it seems that it suits them more than a lot of the average Americans that live here, because we see so many problems that exist in the society. So we probably don't. Crazelyn, if that's how you feel, you can leave, okay? You can go. Um, and when we have these topics, there's always going to be an idiot coming into the comment section. So since he wants to be an idiot, let's go ahead and hurt his feelings, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share this video with y'all. This is what I talk about when I'm speaking on the miseducation, the indoctrination, and the falsehoods of your oppressor. So hit dogs are hollering every single day on this channel every time I come on here. Let me go ahead and play this so, their feelings can get hurt. Hold on one second. Let's hear what this little white boy has to say about his own people. Shout out to Papa Duck, y'all. If you don't follow his channel, please go ahead and check him out. I'm going to go ahead and share this video. Conrad McDonald, if you can't figure it out, I'm not going to help you. You need to do some research, because I'm not going back and forth with y'all. I don't have the time. I actually have somewhere to be in a little while. Okay, here we go. We're going to share this. I'm going to blow this up for y'all. Okay, and we are going to play the video.
How he know this? And they just check this out right quick.
If you seriously believe the 13% of the population and 50% of the crime, you need to get fact-checked, and I'm about to do it to you. In 2016, white people committed 70% of the convicted crime, and black people only committed 27%. Then in 2017, white people committed 68% of the reported crime, and black people only committed 26% of it. And in 2024, white people committed 53% of the reported crime, while black people only committed 25%. So this narrative on 13% of the population, 50% of the crime is wrong. You know who actually commits 50% of the crime? White people. But guess what stat black people are 13% of the population and 50% in? Exonerations. When they're wrongly convicted, all you're doing by spreading this fake fact is allowing more people to profile and be racist towards black people. You know what's the highest percentage of people who are victims of white people? Black people. And if you look at all the shootings, guess who are the shooters? White dudes. So let's all think long and hard on who actually commits 50% of the crime.
What's happening, man? It's your boy Papa Do It back with another video. Like, comment, and
All right. So I don't even know if you could see it or hear it, but this is a Caucasian boy, okay, talking about his own people. And like I said, people don't like to hear it they don't like to see it. People get very hypersensitive and hyper focused, but we're going to play it again if you missed out.
And I'm about to do it to you. You need to get fact checked, and I'm about to do it to you.
He said you need to get fact
13% of the population and 50% of the crime. You need to get fact checked, and I'm about to do it to you. In 2016, white people committed 70% of the convicted crime, and black people only committed 27%. Then in 2017, white people committed 68% of the reported crime, and black people only committed 26% of it. And in 2024, white people committed 53% of the reported crime, while black people only committed 25%. So this narrative on 13% of the population, 50% of the crime is wrong. You know who actually commits 50% of the crime? White people. But guess what stat black people are 13% of the population and 50% in? Exonerations. When they're wrongly convicted, all you're doing by spreading this fake fact is allowing more people to profile and be racist towards black people. What's the highest percentage of people who are victims of white people? Black people. And if you look at all the shootings, guess who are the shooters? White dudes. So let's all think long and hard on who actually commits 50% of the crime.
What's happening, man? It's your boy Papa Do It back with another video. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Okay. And then they don't like listening to children, right? But they'll listen to a 31-year-old that didn't have a lot of life experience, that used to debate college-age children, right? So you see how they don't like it when people start talking about stuff and telling, their narrative when it paints a different picture. They get very defensive. But they think that people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that lived through things such as the Civil Rights Act should be listening to a 31-year-old. Do you see the hypocrisy in that? That is crazy to me, that people would, switch that narrative around. There is nothing that a 31-year-old can tell a 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old that have lived for many years to see how this country has changed and the oppressiveness of this experience. Like I said, they are always hypersensitive and hyper focused on trying to disprove and gaslight any statistical facts that negate what this individual was talking about. Yeah. And since we want to talk about Black people murdering people every day, let's talk about the fact that when white people murder, they murder in droves. Let's talk about the hundreds and thousands that they kill in warfare every time they go to war. Let's talk about the fact that they start political warfare, which we have just seen with the person that they had the funeral for. Let's talk about how they keep, assassinating and attacking each other in the name of nuclear warfare so they can assert power and dominate all different nations and all different countries because they think they're always right. And, they do this on a massive scale. I'm talking about bombings, nuclear weapons, using tanks, y'all. And then innocent children are basically collateral damage. Innocent civilians and women are actually collateral damage as a result of this. So war is murder, dummy. Like, how do you not understand that? You're still killing someone. I don't understand how you don't get that. So maybe you need to go get some education because you sound very ignorant right now. And as a matter of fact, I don't even like ignorance in my comment section. So you can go ahead and leave. So like I said, you see the ignorance that we deal with. Every time we have these conversations, they come over here hollering like the hit dogs that they are. The miseducation and the indoctrination of the oppressor. Don't let them trick you with their falsehoods, y'all. Don't let them do it to you. So we have to talk about this. Oh, well, your feelings are hurt. I really don't care. We're going to go ahead and let a white man tell you because you don't want to listen to a child. They always have to debunk somebody, right? When it doesn't fit their narrative, they always have to try to debunk somebody, okay? And this is how they operate. So let's go ahead and let the white Caucasian tell you, one of your own kind, since you don't want to listen. because it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't come, from the rhetoric that you want to hear. Okay, let's go ahead and share the screen, make this bigger. Now, since your alleged president, right, is supposed to be such good friends with that person's funeral that was yesterday, listen to what this guy had to say about it.
Because Donald Trump never gave a shit about that man. And he made it incredibly damn clear at his memorial service today, in which Donald Trump was supposed to be eulogizing a guy who he claimed to be his buddy, even though he cared more about his ballroom than his supposed friend, with a speech honoring a memory that Republicans have all but made up. But instead of doing so, Donald Trump focused on autism, tariffs, and his political opponents. Not only was that bad, but the contrast between what Trump said and what Charlie Kirk's widow said was a complete embarrassment, as the president made it all about himself, as he always does. And we're going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into what was clearly the most embarrassing moment of this speech, I want to start where surprisingly Trump did with his big announcement.
It was Charlie who helped unite MAGA. And you know what MAHA is? That's right. Make America healthy again. And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcements, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. We're going to be doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking.
All right. So despite the fact that allegedly, the CK, the Kirkster, was taken out by one of his own, he's up here basically sounding like giving a campaign speech, y'all, hyping himself up. Keep going, because he wasn't talking about his friendship, was he? Let's keep going, y'all.
The Oval Office in the White House about autism, how it happens, so we won't let it happen anymore, and how to get at least somewhat better when you have it, so that parents can help their child, their beautiful child. That's a big one. I've been bugging everybody over there, get the answer to that.
We have been told time after time that Donald Trump is in mourning, that he is lashing out, that he is expanding his authoritarian project, cracking down on speech because he is so incredibly outraged that Jimmy Kimmel, simply stating facts about MAGA, trying to pretend that the alleged Kirk assailant was some left-wing lunatic, calling out that bullshit lie. That was so insensitive that Donald Trump melted down. He couldn't contain himself, and neither could millions of viewers of Kimmel's show across the country. And that's why he had his show canceled. Not because, of course, Donald Trump can't stand being made fun of, and Kimmel had apparently a big Epstein monologue coming. No, that wasn't it. It was because people are so upset. But Donald Trump is not upset to talk about Charlie Kirk in his Charlie Kirk eulogy. He has to focus on the big announcement he has coming soon. Are you kidding me? Like, who wants to listen to this? Well, apparently some folks in the crowd who cheered on Trump as he went on this insane rant, although some were noticeably silent.
Just like Charlie.
This man is a trip, y'all.
And Erica made Turning Point hot. We are looking at a country that has the chance to attain a level like never before. Tariffs are making us rich again, richer than anybody ever thought was possible. And the only one challenging them are people that hate our country or foreign countries that are paying a price, because they did the same thing to us for years. They took advantage of us, but we're making money.
What does this have to do with anything that pertains to the alleged assassination of his friend?
Becoming richer and richer, and we're taking care of our people better and better when we do that, and we can take care of other countries better and better, but we're doing unbelievably well. The tariffs have really been a hold. The election was big.
So in classic Trump fashion, he is talking about himself. He is lying about the economy. He is losing what little bits of his mind he has left. But surprisingly, there were some moments of a memorial for a man I can't stand that I think were actually important to moving forward and healing this country. And one of them came from Charlie Kirk's widow. And it is so important what she said in contrast to Donald Trump's insane meltdown.
I forgive him.
Oh my goodness. And like, I forgive the shooter. Kirk. My Kirk star. What they did is so unreal. Oh my goodness. Because Turning Point USA will live on forever. Let me stop, y'all.
The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name.
All right, we're going to skip past this commercial in just a moment, but I find her antics questionable as well.
Message. Now, if the shooter, as MAGA initially alleged, was a trans American, was a person of color, do I think Erica Kirk would be forgiving them? No, but that is besides the point. The point is, this is the message that we need. We should be coming together. There should be unity. Left, most importantly, right, should be condemning political violence. But what did Donald Trump go out and do? In an embarrassing fashion, to the desire of the woman who lost her husband, he said this.
In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
Erica Kirk.
Yeah, this man is a freaking trip. Okay. I've always found him entertaining. That is one entertaining president, y'all. He said he hates his opponent. He hates his enemy, right? She said, forgive the shooter. Forgive him. And he said, I hate my enemy, y'all. The complete opposite of what she just said. So you see how these people are supposed to be together and they're still not together. And so my point is, when the, Caucasian boy was stating statistics or whatever, and people said, I'm not listening to an 11 or 12-year-old child. But then you have someone in his, almost 80s still preaching HATE about his enemy or whatever. And then you have the Kirkster's wife saying something totally different. They can't even come together on a common accord. So that means that he's going to do what he wants to do regardless, right? So when we talk about war and we talk about violence, we know that they are the ones that make the political decisions on when to fire missiles, on when to send out drones that can attack another country. Those people have been the mass murders of the world, y'all. And then they want to come over here and tell us about gang on gang violence and black on black crime. First of all, I don't participate in black on black crime. Okay. I don't have a criminal record. I am not in a gang. Okay. Nor do I have an affiliation with gangs. So therefore, you're trying to generalize and marginalize once again with your false narratives and false statistics. But because they want it to fit their narrative, they keep the hate speech going. They keep the falsehoods and the miseducation, the misrepresentation, and the indoctrination going. That is a form of oppression, because what it does is it pushes a false narrative into the society and the media. So a lot of, other nations, when they encounter melanated beings or people that have gone through these things, they already have a preconceived notion before they even meet you. And this is done deliberately, by the way. It's done deliberately. All right. So yeah, that is it. So yeah, we must educate ourselves Thank you. We can't depend on anybody else, Bootsy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is so true. And I agree. This Kirkster character was not that important in my eyes either, but I use it as a teaching point. I use it as a talking point so that maybe, somebody will understand from a different vantage point, because they don't understand anything else until you actually start talking about one of their own. If we start talking about our affairs, they don't really care. But when you talk about one of them, they get hypersensitive, right? So it's just basically using it as a narrative to speak upon. That's all. All right. So y'all are going back and forth in the comment section. Okay. Oh, Bootsy, you're Apache. Shout out to the Apache Indians. We got an Indian in the building, Native American, indigenous person of this land. Shout out to the Apache Indian out there. Who's fatherless? Swungo. See, and that's another misrepresentation. If I want to call my daddy right now, he's going to answer the phone, but I'm not going to bother him just to prove something to you, because I think that what they think is that we need to prove ourselves to them, and we need to actually get their validation, which I don't need your validation. So sorry that I'm not fatherless, not apologizing for that. My parents are still married and they're still living in the same house. Okay. And anytime I want to talk to him or text him, he's going to call. All right. My daddy's still very much a part of my life. Grew up with him, served in the military, provided for his family. Sorry that you didn't have the same experience. That's not my fault. Okay. You said not that important. He is not important. You think he's reviving patriotism, but he's not across the nation. I don't believe in Christianity. So if that's what you believe in, good for you. I am not going to fall into a false doctrine of religion that was superimposed upon people through way of force and power and control, that actually takes out 26 chapters of the Bible so they can miseducate people. But if you want to follow that fake narrative, you go right ahead and follow your fake savior that you think lives on a cloud in the sky. You go right ahead. You said you live in Bear Creek, Irving, Texas, Freemanstown, established in 1850. Free Black people established this land. Shout out to you, Bumpy. I love it. I love it. You said your people have been through this already. Exactly. No, I think you're delusional. And the fact that the name of you says Killjoy means that you're very unhappy and you want to kill someone else's joy. So go kill your own. Okay. Bootsy said, yes, you are. And I'm not even Black, bro. And I see what you're doing. Uh-oh. He said, my people don't cry. No, Bear Creek is a free men town. Okay. You said we fight. 72 of Black mothers are single. Well, my mother's not single. So sorry that you have that experience, Conrad. Freemanstown, Free Blacks, that was in 1850. God bless you all. That's right. I'm not into Christianity either. Shout out to you for freeing your mind, okay? And not having someone to superimpose and, place their ideologies on you. And then, because sometimes these religions can be like a cult, y'all. If you don't believe in their practice, they are ready to attack you, just like they're doing in the comment section. I see why you have the moral value that you do, okay? You need to go and fix that within yourself. You said, so during slavery, they say in 1850, free Black people owned this land in 1850. Conrad, you sound very triggered and you sound like you're making up stuff at this point. I feel sorry for you. And one thing about your people, you want to talk about STDs and herpes. Let's talk about why your people came over here and started killing off the Native Americans with their diseases because they were filthy and dirty. Let's talk about the bubonic plague, which came of filth and nastiness. Let's talk about the fact that somehow they wanted to experiment on melanated men in the Tuskegee experiment and inject them with syphilis. Let's talk about that. You need to really go educate yourself. Okay. You said you read the Bible, but you're not into dogmatic teachings. No, it's not a projection. It's truth. September, you look like you look like garbage. Okay. You look just like garbage. Bye-bye. Okay. You are legitimately showing your ignorance by coming into my comment section, being hypersensitive, spewing rhetoric that has no base. You have no merit for what you're saying. Conquered land, babe, not stolen. Okay, whatever you think, whatever makes you feel good about yourself. All I'm saying is if we take our destiny in our own hands, anything is possible. Shout out to you. I'm not going back with, you know what I'm not going to do? So now I'm not going to give them energy or attention, and now they're going to be really mad, right? Because when you focus on them, that's feeding them, and really pay them what they're worth. Nothing, okay? So we're going to skip over ignorance. Yeah, Panda, it's a lot of white fragility in the building right now. I don't know why every time I come on here and I'm on Brown Girls Are Beautiful's channel. So if you already come over here, you already know what this is about. This is not about feeding their ego. This is not about making them feel comfortable. This is not apologizing for the truth and their baseless facts that they make up in their head for their own narrative so that they can feel superior, which we know they have what's called inferiority complex, right? Because if you feel so supreme, you wouldn't even come over here giving us your attention. But every time we start talking about these topics, they come over here, the hit dogs are hollering all the time. Let's see, let's keep going. Let's keep going, y'all. They're not going to get any attention from me, y'all. That's what they want. And then they also want someone to have they want someone to get upset. They want someone to give them energy, attention. They want feeling and emotion, which they're not even worthy of my emotion. They're really not worthy to be on my channel or to even be talking to me or commenting. So that's not even going to get a response. Let's see. Shout out to Panda. Yep, negativity feeds on negativity. They're very unhappy with themselves. Yes, they are. They don't even believe what they are saying. They just want a response. And half of these people will tell you that they believe in the Bible. They're Christians. And what does the Bible say about all this angst and this nasty attitude? You're supposed to love thy neighbor, love thy brother. There's a lot of hate going on. So who's not going to heaven? This heaven that they made up that they think they're going to. I don't think they're going to make it, y'all. What y'all think? They. White African, nice to meet you. Do you live in South Africa, Van der Vault? You sound like you have some German ancestry or German lineage. Okay, let's keep going. So we know that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, didn't Dr. Fauci misrepresent that whole situation during COVID? Because technically he stole his research from another real doctor. That's what they like to do. They like to steal information, and they like to steal spiritual practices and remix it and make up narratives and give it back to you, just like they write narratives that are untrue in the history books and teach it to the youth and the children so that they can keep up their inferiority complex and try to mix it into superiority. They do that a lot. Oh, you said bigots is catching hell in 20. Look, and even their own people are calling them out, and they're getting mad, and they're blaming us and attacking us because we're talking about it, y'all. I didn't say anything to disparage them, but they came in here with the hate speech. I just said, never let the oppressor miseducate or indoctrinate you with falsehood. And we started this whole conversation off being positive. I said, willkommen. Wie geht es Ihnen? I hope you all are having a wonderful, blessed day. Heute ist Montag, right? Let's start Monday off with positivity. That's how I started it off. And then they came in here, hit dogs hollering, Angel, St. Cloud. They came in here talking. You said stats say whites are more violent but get off from doing prison time. That is true, but when we do petty crimes, we still. Yep, this is very much systematic. Yes, they do that all the time. Let's see. You said cite articles. Okay, well, I'm glad people think they know all about me, but y'all just keep on making up scenarios in your head. The world isn't pandering to hold on. You said the world isn't pandering. I lost your comment for a second. Oh, here it is. The world isn't pandering to Black people. The entire world has been selling skin bleaching cream for decades. Okay. Let me see. Hello, beautiful host chat. Love from New Zealand. Welcome, New Zealand in the building. I would love to pronounce your name. Nigata Ramona. Okay. You said Trump is lying to you. You said, can some Black beauty come get this white dude already? Hi, ladies. Well, aren't you in Africa? You should be surrounded by them. You should be surrounded by them. I don't have makeup on. See, that's where you're wrong. I don't have makeup on. Maybe that's what you think, but this is no. I don't have makeup on. So get your facts together. I decided because one thing that I was watching, I watch a lot of things about health and documentaries and stuff like that. When you wear a lot of makeup, ladies, this is for those out there, for anybody that's a female, it throws off your hormone levels, because there are certain things that it seeps through your skin, and it interferes with your progesterone, your estrogen, and your testosterone. So a lot of makeup is not good for your skin. It's not good for our hormones, and it throws the balance off. So I chose not to wear makeup today. So no, the only thing I have on is just some lip liner, a little bit of lipstick. Hey, my cat, she's staring at me. Yeah, shout out to y'all that are from different countries. I love the diversity in here. You said natural beauty. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, the negativity is just not going to even get energy, y'all. So, unfortunately, they're really mad because I'm not responding to them. And they're mad because I'm not giving them their energy that they want. And it's like they can't stop from like feeding off of our energy. It's almost like, like a leech. They leech and leech and leech. And like you just want to get rid of it, but yet here they still come. They're like an abomination to themselves. They're like an abomination to themselves, y'all. They are so upset. They are so upset. They are so upset. So make sure you use your wrench line. Go ahead and take no mercy on them and just get rid of them, ban them for life. I don't care. The hit dogs can go somewhere else and holler and growl. Go back to the caves from which they derive. Okay. Go back to the mountains somewhere. Go do that. Go make Bigfoot your friend. Okay. See if you can do that. These dogs that y'all practice bestiality with, why don't y'all go and make friends with your dog, since a dog is your best friend? Why don't you go do that? Go be useful to yourselves. Y'all like to clone animals and dogs and do all this craziness. Thank y'all to the new subscribers. Oh my goodness, they so mad, y'all. Every single time. They do it every time. They make me do it. The hit dogs are growling, y'all. They're you know what they sound like? They sound like Wolverines out in the isolation of the field. Hyenas, y'all. That's what they sound like. A pack of freaking hyenas. Y'all have really made my day today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Brown Girls Are Beautiful. Shout out to the chat section and the haters. You only made my day a little bit greater because now I know y'all really are triggered. Oh my gosh, they are so mad. We know that y'all are super sensitive and hyper focused on people when they tell the truth. We know that. Oh my gosh, you said golden. You said it's super sad when people won't accept facts because they are afraid of what they will lose if they accept the truth. This is true. This is true. Yep. Keep it up, Long. Keep it up. Y'all, I gotta go. I have things to do. I have children to work with of all different ethnic backgrounds, helping them be better members of society. I have better things to do than to argue with ignorant people that have the IQ less than a kindergartner right now. And I'm going out here to make America great again because I'm about to go work with the youth, work with these children that's going to make a difference in the future. All the children that love me, regardless of all these antics that they've spewed out in the comment section, they really think we care over here. But brown girls are beautiful, don't care, don't give a F, never will give a F, never did give a F, don't need their validation, and they're mad about it, y'all. Thank you, B. Have a blessed day. Haben Sie alles einen guten Tag. Even the haters, I hope your day gets better. See you later, okay? Don't come back, y'all. And to the new subscribers, you know you're very welcome over here, okay? All right, bye, y'all. Tinkerbell says bye. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Have a good day, y'all. Buenos dias, okay? Yes, Tinkerpoo. They mad, girl. They mad. All right, we trying to end the stream. Bye, y'all.